everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're talking about more fire. This time, London is on fire. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the burning that's going to happen at the second coming, and I'm actually starting to wonder if we are seeing it right now. I think a lot of times when we read scriptures, an idea, a picture comes to mind as we're kind of like visualize what's going to happen, and so we think we know how it's going to happen. But I wonder if this burning that's going to take place, I wonder if it's a slow burn. We know that the world is getting hotter, that fires are increasing, and there not only fires, but there's a lot more heat related deaths. We're going to look at that too. We're going to look at the number of fatalities from both wildfires but also just heat in general, because there's been all these like heat domes and heat waves, and more people are dying. And so again, I wonder if what we're seeing right now is this process playing out, because I think that the picture that a lot of us have is that Christ will come, everyone that's wicked is going to be burned on within an hour. You know, it's all going to happen all at once. And I don't know, it could happen like that, but I don't see any reason right now why it couldn't take place over years or even decades leading up to a climax. So anyway, it's just an idea. Don't get upset. Don't start typing your angry comments. It's just an idea. Anyway, so this came to my attention because of Janet Carlson in a comment. She says, news coming out of Greater London today, Tuesday. Some people may have caught. Some building may have caught fire. Ashes appear to have spread the fire to multiple locations. Field all over on fire. Multiple buildings, homes, and churches are on fire. The temperature is at 40 degrees Celsius. Don't know how it corresponds to Fahrenheit. Over 100 firefighters are out, and London has declared a state of emergency. No outdoor smoking or barbecues allowed. Pretty scary when it is such a major city. Another sign. Yeah. Now, I have a playlist, you guys. I have a playlist that is just for fires, wildfires. It's called Signs, Wildfires. I'll put the link for this in the description. This is something that we've covered pretty comprehensively, I feel. Well, maybe not, but there's probably a whole lot more that's escaped my research. But we've looked at a lot of the major fires that have taken place since I started this channel back in August, and there have been a lot. You have crazy scenes like this in Jerusalem. This was last year. Look at that. This is the Temple Mount. Look at all the dark smoke. There's been fires there. There's been fires in Athens, including right now. Fires have been just crazy. They've been crazy. So check out this playlist if you haven't already. There is so much here to share. If you're studying the Second Coming and only looking at fire and fires as a sign of the times, it would blow your mind. So check out this playlist if you haven't already. Okay, so this is actually from the Times of Israel. London firefighters had busiest day since World War II amid scorching heat wave, says mayor. It's interesting because that makes two things this year that hasn't happened since World War II. One is busiest day for the London firefighters, and number two, the war in Ukraine. It's the largest conventional ground war in Europe since World War II. We are in those times, you guys. Let me just read a few key things from here. The London Fire Brigade had its busiest day since World War II on Tuesday, as firefighters received more than 2,600 calls And at one point, we're fighting 12 fires simultaneously, Mayor Sadiq Khan said, quote, normally we get 350 calls a day. On a busy day, we can get up to 500 calls. Yesterday, the fire service had more than 2,600 calls a day, Khan said Wednesday. At least 41 properties were destroyed by fires in the capital, Khan said. And, London, you don't typically think of London or even the United Kingdom as a whole as a place for wildfires. Like, certainly they happen, but you never really link those two in your mind. Uh, it doesn't seem to me like fires have ever been too devastating, like wildfires in the UK. All right, continuing on, speaking to Sky News, Khan accused conservative leadership candidates vying to succeed Prime Minister Boris Johnson of ignoring the elephant in the room of climate change. Okay, here's an aerial view. Let's see. The scene after a blaze in the village of Wennington, East London. And, geez, you can see a good portion of it has been destroyed. Of this, neighborhood area. The typical temperate nation of Britain was just the latest to be walloped by unusually hot, dry weather that has triggered wildfires from Portugal to the Balkans and led to hundreds of heat-related deaths. Images of flames racing toward a French beach and Britain's sweltering, even at the seaside, have driven home concerns about climate change. As the nation watched with a combination of horror and fascination, Met Office Chief Scientist Stephen Belcher said such temperatures in Britain were virtually impossible without human-driven climate change. The world is getting hotter. There's debate as to why, right? I tend to think that, I've said this before, I tend to think that this is supposed to happen. That the Lord programmed this into this earth. It's supposed to be happening right now because the second coming is supposed to be happening about now. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the way that the burning happens, that maybe it's a more gradual process than what we picture when we think of the second coming. Again, I could be wrong about that. I'm not saying that that is the case, but this is one scenario to consider. And, they very, very aggressively accuse humanity as causing this problem, which we know that Satan has real power in this world. He does have power over governments. He has power over secret combinations. And how insidious is it if I'm right, if this is supposed to be happening, the world is preparing itself to become a terrestrial world. And Satan, because of our ignorance, he's saying, oh, this is your fault. You're doing this. And it's like, no, we're not. Trying to make us feel bad for what's supposed to happen. Anyway, the intense heat since Monday has damaged the runway at London's Luton Airport, forcing it to shut down for several hours, and warped a main road in East England, leaving it looking like a skate park, police said. Major train stations were shut or near empty Tuesday as trains were canceled or ran at low speeds out of concern rails could buckle. This is the effect that this fire is having. Airports, railways, roads. It's unbelievable. It's simply unbelievable. Okay, we have another one here. Latest photos of European heat wave show future normal as London Fire Department was busiest day since World War II. Here's another picture of it. Here's another picture of it. Another one. We kind of already saw this one, but this is like a little bit different of an angle. Okay, a wildfire broke out late in the afternoon hours. Okay, so this is now talking about the other places that have experienced fires, like at the same time. So this one is Athens right now. This is Spain. This is North Athens. This is France. This is Athens. This is Athens. This is Italy, Rupa, Italy. Athens. Okay. So we're going to read a little bit more about that. Wildfires rage in Greece, Spain, and Italy as heat wave moves across Europe. Let's zoom in. Though temperatures have cooled in France and the UK, firefighters are still tackling blazes in Greece, Spain, and Italy. Heat waves have become more frequent, more intense, and last longer because of human-induced climate change. The world has already warmed by about 1.1 degrees Celsius since the industrial era began, and temperatures will keep rising unless governments around the world make steep cuts to emissions. More than 1,000 deaths have been linked to the extremely high temperatures in Portugal, while in Spain it is at least 500. See, so here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so there are deaths from wildfires, but you have to also take into account as the world heats up, it's burning us, it's killing us. There are people dying of heat, and in this case, within the last few days, 1,000 in Portugal, 500 in Spain. Okay, then it kind of goes one by one. So in Greece, firefighters were tackling a blaze on Mount Penteli to the northeast of the capital, Athens. Takis Panagopoulos, 87, woke up at 3 in the morning to a red sky. The fire surrounded the house, and I managed to leave the area by car. Okay, here's a graph. European Union's wildfire season so far. Cumulative burnt areas in 1,000 square kilometers. So this blue region here on the graph, this represents basically, well, actually, I don't know. So this blue line, this is the average, okay, average from 2006 to 2021. This bottom axis is the months of the year, okay. The y-axis, this is the number of deaths. And I guess this blue area probably represents the range of the most to the least, and this is the average from 2006 to 2021. In 2022, if I'm reading this correctly, and I think I am, looks like it's broken the record, and kind of by a lot. Okay, look at this red line this year compared to the average, and also this shaded area, the range. Okay, so that's pretty serious. Okay, France has had some of the worst fires, particularly in the southwest region of Gironde, though conditions for tackling them have improved. Temperatures fell from 40 degrees Celsius, which is, oh, there you go, 40 degrees Celsius is 104 Fahrenheit on Tuesday, to the mid-20s on Wednesday. Okay, there's Macron doing his politician thing, thanking the firefighters. Okay, Spain has also battled multiple wildfires, though one in the central province of Zamora has been brought under control, according to the local government. 2 large wildfires are still out of control in the northwestern region of Galicia. A fire in the Gredos mountain range is also spreading east towards the Madrid region, the BBC's Guy Hedgecoe reports. Some 13,800 acres of land have also been burnt in the northeast region of Aragon. In Portugal, some 900 okay, so that was Spain. Now in Portugal, some 900 firefighters were fighting 2 active fires in the country's far north. Major fires have also affected Italy in the past days, causing the country to be put on its highest heat wave alert for Thursday. Italian infrastructure has also been heavily impacted with temporary closure of a key rail route between Rome and Florence. As the heat wave moves northeastwards, parts of Germany have recorded 100 degrees Fahrenheit on Wednesday, according to its National Weather Service, DWD. Thunderstorms are expected in Belgium. On Wednesday, Sweden recorded its hottest day of the year, with temperatures in the southwest reaching 32 degrees Celsius. Oh my goodness. Where was that? There was a picture I wanted to show you. I don't know if it was in this one or if did I miss it? Sorry, there was this crazy picture of people on a train, and the train was going through fire, or it was like really, really close to fire at the very least. Okay, I'm sure we'll come across it as we move on. Okay, Axios. Heat wave kills more than 1,900 people in Spain and Portugal. We kind of already read that, but in this other article, it was saying about 1,500 between the two of them. But it's actually, according to Axios, it's 1,900. So that's gone up by 400. Let's see. Don't know if I had anything here. No, just kind of wanted to read that. More than 100 million under heat warnings in the United States as country swelters. These gray areas right here, those are the hot areas. Okay, so Texas, Oklahoma, southern Missouri, Arkansas, they are not looking too good. Arizona's always hot. Okay. Oklahoma, Texas heat wave on Tuesday, an unprecedented event. Every weather observing location in the state recorded temperatures of 102 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, with Oklahoma City peaking at a high of 110 degrees Fahrenheit. This tied the city's all-time high for July. So for Texas, never happened before. Record-breaking event. And then Oklahoma City, it was a tie. The National Weather Service is calling the heat dangerous. Daily high temperature records are likely to be broken Wednesday. It's today. Here's okay, so the purple is excessive heat warning, and then the orange is heat advisory. So there's a lot of heat advisory up in the Northeast, New England, New York State, New Jersey, and then you have heat advisories primarily in Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, a little part of Tennessee and Mississippi, and then in the Vegas area, southern Utah, Vegas area, northwestern Arizona, and then some in California. Global heat waves. Of note, the heat in the U.S. is connected to the deadly extreme weather event that continues in Europe, since the very same wavy jet stream pattern, technically known as wave number 5, for its 5 major ridges or heat domes of high pressure. This pattern has led to heat waves in Asia, the US, Europe, and the Middle East. And here you can see the circles. Now, based on the way that this is colored, it doesn't look like it's actually too bad, relatively speaking, to the other ones. So the US is looking kind of okay. There's a pretty dark heat dome in the Pacific just south of Alaska. Europe is pretty much engulfed by red, right? And then over here, excuse me, in like southern Russia, Tajikistan, like this area, and then over here, kind of northwestern Russia or northeastern Russia. So here are these 5 heat waves or heat domes, whatever. Some studies have shown that human-caused climate change is making such patterns more durable during the summer and increasing the odds of them occurring. Context. Studies have shown that climate change is making heat waves like this one hotter than they otherwise would have been, as well as more frequent and longer lasting. European heat waves in particular have become more common compared to other parts of the globe, according to a recent study. So, I mean, there you have it. And you have to kind of wonder. We know the parts of the world that are typically more secular, right? There's a lot of secularization right now in Europe. There's a lot on the west coast of the United States and also the east coast. And that's not to say necessarily that these are linked, but they partially could be. Maybe in some cases they are. Don't know. Okay, Greek wildfire rages near Athens. Homes, hospital evacuated. Let's just take a look at these pictures really quick. Yeah, so this is what that 87-year-old woke up to, something probably that looked like this. Right? Okay, so that's Athens, Greece. Okay, this is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. As fire continues, mandatory evacuations near Possum Kingdom Lake lifted, still recommended. So they're having some there in Texas. Here's Spain. Look at this. Look at this guy. It says Spanish man filmed escaping wildfire, treated for serious burns. And his shirt burned off. I don't know. He's not wearing a shirt, or he's like wearing scraps. There's like no shirt there anymore. Look at that. And his pants too. I don't know if he ripped them off, if they burned. Like if he had burns, look at that. My goodness. Oh, here it is. Wildfire surrounds train full of passengers. I'm not going to play this, but you can see the guy in the train with his headphones on, and then out the window, a raging wildfire. Passengers on a train headed from Madrid to Ferrol. Spain watched anxiously as wildfire burned outside. That is quite the train ride. Okay, Italy fights wildfires from Tuscany to Trieste. And here's some of those pictures. Okay, Italy. Oh, there's just those two. Okay, now let's talk about deaths from heat and deaths from fire. Okay, now first we should go into this knowing this. Okay, this is pbs.org. What data exists are the deaths we know about. Deaths from the heat are not always reported as such, and experts say many are undercounted or misclassified. The Oregon Medical Examiner released a report last week that attributed 96 deaths to a heat wave in late June, an event that likely led to hundreds of deaths across the region. Those numbers will likely grow as investigations continue. So, just making the point that we probably don't have the full scope of how many people are dying from heat. Here's another one from bu.edu. Heat may kill more people in the U.S. than previously reported. So this is kind of saying the same thing. As temperatures rise this summer, this is back in 2020, a new study by researchers from the School of Public Health and the University of British Columbia School of Population and Public Health finds that thousands of U.S. deaths may be attributable to heat each year, far more than the 600 deaths previously estimated by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay, so as we look at these numbers here that I'm about to show you, we have to keep that in mind. That this probably doesn't show just how bad it is. Most likely it's worse than this. Okay, so this is Value Penguin by Lending Tree. Heat-related deaths up 56% between 2018 and 2021, provisional data shows. As global temperatures continue to climb, heat-related deaths are also up. Amid last year's record-shattering temperature spikes, Early estimates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicate that heat deaths jumped 56% between 2018 and 2021. And then there's more here that you can read if you want to. Here's a graph. This is data from NIFC compiled by wildfiretoday.com. And this is from 1960 to 2015. And this is the trend line right here. Okay. This is what you want to pay attention to, the trend line. And the trend is going up. It's going up. Okay, this is The Guardian. Extreme temperatures kill 5 million people a year, with heat-related deaths rising, study finds. More people died of cold than heat in the past 20 years, but climate change is shifting the balance. Okay, so we're going from more deaths related to the cold. We're going from that to more deaths from heat. More than 5 million people die each year globally because of excessive hot or cold conditions, a 20-year study has found, and heat-related deaths are on the rise. The study found more people have died of cold than heat over the 2-decade period, but heat-related deaths were increasing, while cold-linked deaths were dropping. Monash University's Professor Yuming Guo, one of the study's lead researchers, said this trend would continue because of climate change and total mortality rates may go up. Quote, in the future, cold-related mortality should continue to decrease, but because the heat-related mortality will continue to increase, that means there will be a breaking point. All right, so those two types of deaths are switching places. Okay, this is Axios study. Extreme heat is becoming an unignorable global health issue. More than 356,000 okay, more than 356,000 people died from extreme heat-related causes in just 9 countries in 2019. A death toll not only preventable, but expected to grow as temperatures increase worldwide. A pair of studies published Thursday in The Lancet shows. By the numbers, heat-related deaths increased by 74% from 1980 in 2016. That's a lot. That's almost doubled. Heat-related deaths increased by almost double from 1980 to 2016. Revealing hotter regions of the world are most likely suffering from an uptick in extreme heat mortality, one of the studies says. About 1.3 million people also died related to cold, a 31% increase since 1990. The big picture, extreme heat events are becoming more common, severe, and long-lasting around the world, and studies show this is tied to human-caused climate change. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to share with you. So let's just kind of look at this picture of the train going past the fire. So you have to wonder. One thing that I've wondered, okay, when you watch TV shows like you watch, or movies like you watch Avengers, and you have the Thanos event where he makes half of the population go away. That's, I think, how a lot of people view the second coming. That just all of a sudden, in an instant, the wicked will be gone. And I've wondered, if that happens, what happens to the infrastructure? What happens to our way of life? What happens to utilities, companies, so on and so forth? Because everybody's mixed. Everybody's mixed right now. There's wheat and tares everywhere, and they're all mixed. So let's say that a third, and I think that's probably a conservative number, but let's say just 1/3 of the world is gone because of wickedness at the second coming. If it happens all in one day, that would be a big problem because we're so intermixed. It would be probably hard to function, hard to keep things going. And we know that, like, things aren't just going to be magical when the second coming happens. We're still going to be working. We're still going to, now the nature of things will change over time, but it's not like suddenly we're going to be jumping into this fantasy world. We're still going to be working, farming, eating, and living everyday life. But anyway, so, but it makes more sense if maybe it'd be a slower process like what we're seeing here, because then those that remain will have time to adapt, right? Uh, Now, I could be wrong, but it's just something to think about. Put what you think in the comments below. Whatever the case, whether this has to do directly with the second coming or not, whether this is the burning of the wicked, it's still a serious situation, and it is a sign of the times. Who knows what the rest of this year is going to look like? We're about to move into August, and it's my understanding that August is usually the hottest month of the year, in the peak of wildfire season. So we'll just have to see what happens. All right, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.